I sued my own mother. I didn't just stop talking to her. I didn't just block her number. I dragged the woman who gave birth to me into a court of law, stood in front of a judge, and demanded that she pay me back the $500,000 I believed she stole from me. I watched her sit at the defendant's table, wearing a cheap suit she probably bought at a thrift store, her hands trembling in her lap, her head bowed in shame. I watched her lawyer, a court-appointed public defender who looked like he hadn't slept in a week, try to whisper to her, begging her to defend herself. But she didn't defend herself. She didn't say a word. She didn't look at me with anger. She looked at me with a sadness so deep it looked like physical pain. When the judge banged the gavel and ordered her to pay me restitution, I felt a surge of triumph. I felt vindicated. I felt like justice had finally been served. I walked out of that courtroom with my head held high, believing that I had just defeated a thief. I believed I had defeated a monster who preyed on her own son's future to fund her own selfish life. I never saw her again. She died 3 years later, broke, alone, and branded a criminal by her only child. And it wasn't until I walked into her empty, freezing apartment to collect the few worthless belongings she had left behind that I found the truth. I found a box of letters, I found a ledger, and I found out that the $500,000 didn't go to her. It didn't go to clothes or cars or vacations. It went to the mafia, and it went there to cover up the sins of the person I loved most in the world. If you have ever felt betrayed by a parent, or if you think you know the full story of your family's finances, you need to listen to this. Please hit that subscribe button right now. I am going to tell you the story of the greatest mistake of my life and the mother who let me destroy her just to keep my heart from breaking. To understand why I hated my mother, you have to understand how much I loved my grandmother. My Nana was an angel. She was everything my mother wasn't. My mother was strict, she was tired. She was always working double shifts at the hospital as a nurse's aide. She was the one who said no. No to the expensive sneakers, no to the video games, no to the pizza on Friday nights. She was the face of reality, and reality was boring and hard. But Nana was magic. Nana lived in a big, beautiful house on the hill. She wore silk robes. She smelled like expensive perfume and cigarettes. She drove a Cadillac. When I visited her, it was like stepping into a movie. She would slip me $100 bills and wink. "Don't tell your mother," she would whisper. "She is too uptight. She doesn't understand how to enjoy life." I worshipped the ground Nana walked on. She told me stories about her late husband, my grandfather, who she said was a brilliant inventor. She told me that our family came from royalty. She made me feel special. She made me feel like a prince who had been accidentally born to a peasant mother. She always told me, "Don't worry about the future, Leo. When I am gone, you will be taken care of. I have a nest egg, a big one, just for you. You are going to go to the best college. You are going to have everything." I held on to that promise. It was my lifeline. It was my ticket out of my mother's cramped, gray apartment. When I was 18, Nana passed away in her sleep. I was devastated. I cried for weeks. I felt like the sun had gone out. But beneath the grief, there was a tiny kernel of excitement. The inheritance, the nest egg, the freedom. A week after the funeral, I asked my mother about the will. She looked at me. Her face was pale. She looked 10 years older than she had the day before. "There is no money, Leo," she said. I stared at her. "What?" Nana said she had a fortune. She said it was all for me. My mother shook her head. Nana liked to tell stories. "There is nothing. In fact, there are debts. The house is being foreclosed on. The Cadillac is being repossessed. It is all gone." I didn't believe her. How could it be gone? I saw the way Nana lived. I saw the jewelry. I saw the furs. Then a thought planted itself in my mind, a poison seed. My mother. My mother had power of attorney. My mother had been taking care of Nana's finances for the last year of her life when she got sick. My mother, who always complained about money. My mother, who was jealous of my relationship with Nana. She stole it. The thought grew into an obsession. I started digging. I saw that my mother had bought a new car recently, a modest Honda, but still a new car. I saw that she had paid off her own credit card debt. She took my money, I told my friends. She looted the estate before the will was read. I confronted her, I screamed at her. You are a thief, I yelled. You were jealous that she loved me more. You stole my future. She stood there in our kitchen taking my abuse. She didn't argue, she didn't try to show me the bank statements. She just said, Leo, please let it go, just trust me, it is better this way. Trust you, I laughed, I will never trust you. I hired a lawyer, a shark, I told him everything. I told him my mother embezzled my inheritance. We took her to court. The trial was a blur of anger. My lawyer painted her as a greedy, incompetent woman who took advantage of her dying mother to rob her son. We presented evidence that large sums of cash were withdrawn from Nana's accounts in the months before she died, withdrawals made by my mother. My mother's lawyer tried to argue, but my mother shut him down. She refused to testify. She refused to explain where the cash went. She just sat there taking the hits. The judge ruled in my favor. He ordered her to pay me $500,000, the estimated value of the estate that was missing. She didn't have $500,000. So they garnished her wages, they put a lien on her apartment, they took her car. I watched them tow her car away and I smiled. That is what you get, I thought. That is what happens when you steal from family. I cut her out of my life completely. I went to college on student loans, fueling my anger with every payment I made. I became a successful accountant. I made it my mission to be the exact opposite of her. I was precise with money. I was honest. 3 years went by. Then the call came. It was the police. My mother had been found dead in her apartment, natural causes. It looked like she had just sat down in her chair and stopped breathing. I felt a pang of guilt, but I pushed it down. She made her bed, I told myself. I drove to her apartment. It was a different place than the one I grew up in. She had moved to a smaller, cheaper unit after the lawsuit ruined her credit. It was in a bad part of town. The hallway smelled of cigarettes and mildew. I unlocked the door. The apartment was freezing, the heat was off. There was almost no furniture. Just a mattress on the floor, a card table, and the chair she died in. She had been living in absolute squalor. I went to the card table. There was a stack of papers on it. Oh, a ledger. And a box of letters. I picked up the ledger first. It was in my mother's handwriting. Payment plan 2022. January $1,200 to Vinny. February $1,200 to Vinny. March $1,200 to Vinny. Who was Vinny? I opened the box of letters. They weren't letters from friends, they were threatening notes. Tell the old lady she is out of time. We want the money by Friday or we take the knees. She owes us $500K. Gambling debts don't disappear just because you are old. If she doesn't pay, we come for the kid. We know where Leo goes to school. My hands started to shake. I dug deeper into the box. I found a credit report. It was Nana's credit report. It was a disaster. Pages and pages of red ink, maxed out credit cards, multiple mortgages on the house, loans from predatory lenders. And then I found the police report. Or rather, the draft of a police report that was never filed. Identity theft complaint, victim Leo Davis minor. I looked at the dates. When I was 10 years old, someone had opened 5 credit cards in my name. They had racked up $50,000 in debt. The signature on the application. It wasn't my mother's. It was Nana's, the flamboyant, loopy script I knew so well. The truth hit me like a freight train. Nana wasn't rich, she was a compulsive gambler. The Cadillac leased, the furs bought on credit, the nest egg of fantasy. She had gambled away everything, her husband's money, her house. And when that ran out, she started borrowing from loan sharks. And when the loan sharks came calling, she stole my identity. She stole her own grandson's financial future to pay for her addiction. My mother found out. She found out when Nana got sick. She took over the finances and saw the horror show. She saw the threats from the mob. She saw the identity theft. She had a choice. She could have told me, she could have told the police. If she told the police, Nana would have died in prison. My image of my angel grandmother would have been shattered. I would have known that the person I loved most saw me as a credit score, not a grandson. And if she didn't pay the loan sharks, they were coming for me. We know where Leo goes to school. So my mother made a deal. She withdrew the cash from the accounts, not to steal it, but to pay off the mob. She liquidated everything to keep the breakers away from my legs. And when the money ran out, she used her own money. And when I sued her, she had another choice. She could have defended herself. She could have shown the judge the threats. She could have shown the judge the identity theft. But if she did that, the truth about Nana would come out. It would be public record. I would know that my grandmother was a criminal. So she took the fall. She sat in that courtroom and let me call her a thief. She let me destroy her reputation. She let me garnish her wages. She let me bankrupt her. She accepted the role of the villain so that I could keep my hero. She protected my memory of Nana, even though Nana was the one who destroyed us. And she protected my safety, because if she testified against the loan sharks, if she named names in court, they might have come back. So she paid them in silence. She spent the last 3 years of her life working double shifts, living in a freezing apartment, paying me the court-ordered restitution, and paying the rest of Nana's debts to the sharks. She died with nothing. She died thinking I hated her. And she was okay with that, because in her mind my hatred was safer than the truth. I looked around the empty apartment. I saw a picture on the floor. It was the only picture in the room. It was a picture of me and Nana. We were smiling. Nana was wearing her fur coat. I looked like a prince. My mother had kept it. She had framed the lie. I smashed the picture. I threw it against the wall and watched the glass shatter. I hated Nana in that moment. I hated her selfishness. I hated her glamour. But mostly, I hated myself. I had been so arrogant, so sure of my own narrative. The good grandmother, the bad mother. It is a story a child tells, a fairy tale. The truth was the grandmother was a vampire, and the mother was the vein she drained. I drove to the cemetery. My mother was buried in a pauper's grave, a small metal marker provided by the state. Nana was buried up on the hill. A massive marble angel stood over her plot. I stood between them. I looked at the marble angel. It looked hideous to me now. It looked like a monument to vanity and deceit. Then I looked at the dirt patch where my mother lay. I fell to my knees. "Moms," I whispered, "I know." I told the dirt, I told the grass. I know about Vinny, I know about the credit cards, I know you saved me. I realized that the $500,000 I won in court, every check she sent me, was blood money. It was money she squeezed out of her own life force. I can't keep it. I can't spend a dime of it. I am taking the money I took from her and I am starting a fund for victims of financial abuse. But that doesn't fix it. It doesn't bring her back. It doesn't undo the nights she spent freezing in that apartment. It doesn't undo the look on her face in the courtroom when I called her a thief. That look wasn't shame, it was sorrow. She was grieving the loss of her son while actively saving his life. I am sharing this story because we are so quick to judge the people who say no to us. We love the people who say yes. We love the fun parent. We love the generous grandparent. We don't realize that sometimes yes is easy, yes is reckless. No is hard, no is responsible, no is love. My mother said no to defending herself so she could say yes to my safety. If you have a parent who seems strict, who seems to struggle with money, who seems to have secrets, don't sue them. Don't assume they are the villain. Sit down with them, ask the hard questions. Mom, why is there no money? Dad, why are we moving? And if they don't answer, trust that they might be holding back a tidal wave that would drown you. I destroyed the only person who ever truly loved me. Don't make my mistake. Go hug the parent who works the double shift. Go hug the parent who drives the old car. They are the real heroes. The marble angels are just stone. If this story broke you open, please share it. Share it for the scapegoats. Share it for the mothers who take the fall. And in the comments, tell me, have you ever misjudged a parent? Have you ever found out the truth too late? Let's confess, let's heal. Hit subscribe, we tell the truth here, even when the truth costs everything. I am sorry, Mom, you were the only inheritance I ever needed, and I threw you away.